Chair Bass? Chair Bass? Are we ready? Okay.
Good evening and hello. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Parks and Recreation Commission meeting and ask Commissioner Munoz to lead us in the pledge.
Thank you. Would you please rise and place your right hand over your heart and face the American flag? Ready to begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I would like to call the meeting to order. Individuals wishing to address the commission are requested to complete a speaker card and deliver it to the Parks and Recreation Commission Secretary prior to the item being heard by the commission. Please observe a three-minute limit for communications, and once being called upon to speak, please state your name and city of residence for the record. We do have a revision to the agenda on item 6.1. We have changes that were made to slide 11. Item number 3, approval of the Parks and Recreation Commission meeting minutes of December 10th, 2024. Do we have a motion?
I'll move.
Seconded.
A motion was made by Vice Chair Boggs. Is that you? Who is? Oh, sorry, Commissioner Olson. And second by Commissioner Munoz. Let us take a vote.
Commissioner Olson?
Yes.
Commissioner McBride?
Yes.
Commissioner Munoz?
Yes.
Chair Bass?
Yes.
Vice Chair Boggs?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 4, the consent calendar. All items listed on the consent calendar are considered to be routine matters. Status reports are documents covering previous commission action. The items listed on the consent calendar may be enacted in one motion. With the concurrence of the commission, a commissioner or any person in attendance may request that an item be removed for further consideration. 4.1, developer impact fee, fund balance, bond repayment for December 2024. Do we have a motion?
I'll motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
A motion was made by Commissioner Olson and second by Commissioner McBride. Let us take a vote.
Commissioner Olson?
Yes.
Commissioner McBride?
Yes.
Commissioner Munoz?
Yes.
Chair Bass?
Yes.
Vice Chair Boggs?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item number 5, communications from the public. This portion of the agenda is intended for general public comment only on items within the commission's jurisdiction that are not listed on the agenda. Persons wishing to address the Parks and Recreation Commission are requested to identify themselves and state the matter on which they wish to comment. No action will be taken on matters not listed on the agenda, and please observe a 3-minute limit for communications. Ms. Vargas, are there any speaker cards from the public?
No, Chair, there are no speaker cards.
And Ms. Vargas, are there any written comments from the public?
No, Chair, no written comments.
Okay, thank you. Item number 6, administrative reports by Ms. Finch.
Thank you, Chair. So it's been about 2 months since our last meeting. We have a lot of exciting news to share. We've winded down our holiday activities. We're gearing up for our winter programming, and we have some exciting updates. On our recreation side, Mr. Lass is going to be presenting an update on a new Lunar New Year event, a micro event that we just recently started. It was an exciting opportunity over at the CCC, and he's going to provide some information on that. He's also going to provide some info on our upcoming programs and events for the month of February. And our upcoming co-sponsorship application period, which is now open. We have a call for applications out for that, and he's going to provide some information and provide some updates on some new activities at the Senior Center. Moving over to our park side, Mr. Cortez will give us some updates on our Corona Beautiful cleanups. We recently did a cleanup event over at River Road and Coda. It was very successful, and he's going to share some of the details of that. We've also continued with our guided hikes program, and we have some information to share on that. We've been doing some improvements, trail improvements. A new trail route was cut over at Dominguez Ranch, and he's going to share some information about that, as well as some infill planting and tree planting activities that we've had underway for the last couple of months. And we also have an update on our field renovations. We recently took the fencing down at all of our sports parks, and we've got some exciting photos and news to share about how that went. And then I think this is about the second or third time we've done this, but we have our quarterly stats that we are presenting to the commission now on both the recreation and park side. We usually present this to City Council as part of our strategic plan report, and we're happy to share this information with the commission now as well. So I will go ahead and turn it over to Mr. Last to get us started.
All right, thank you, Ms. Finch. I would like to wish you all a happy New Year. I didn't get to see you in January, but I get to wish you a happy Lunar New Year right on time here. And I just want to kick off talking about that event we recently hosted. So on Saturday, February 1st, at our Circle City Center, we hosted our first ever Lunar New Year celebration. It was a micro event. It actually occurred during our regular operating hours at the CCC. And it's just really kind of emerged naturally or organically. We have a lot of patrons that like to celebrate the holiday. We have a lot of activities and things that all this kind of came together. So the staff saw this natural occurrence and, creating community. They just created the stage for it. So we can get together, we can celebrate, and then we can shine. So there were roughly 300 that came out throughout the duration of the 3-hour event there. We had a variety of performances, including Tai Chi, some line dancing, along with interactive activities such as crafts, balloon art, and some giveaways and some photo opportunities. Guests also were able to enjoy some delicious food vendors that were on site. You can get some fusion foods, and then we had boba drinks that are all available for purchase there. So I just want to give a shout out to Jason Lai as well as Tamaje Kise for their just phenomenal work, just kind of putting their heads together, seeing this natural occurrence, and then just really setting the stage and embracing what a community center should do. So a lot of fun for us there. Upcoming events, we have a lot happening in February, I'm pleased to say. So one of the things I did want to kick off sharing is that our Senior Center is hosting the AARP organization for their annual tax aid program. This actually provides free assistance preparing income tax filing. So don't fear, you don't have to pay money to go H&R Block. If you have a simple tax filing, you're a low-income individual, family, primarily seniors. We have volunteers that are trained through AARP on site. They are there Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., all the way through April 15th. So it's amazing service. People take advantage of it. We serve several hundred people through the course of the season. This takes place all throughout the nation, which is absolutely amazing. And these volunteers are just trained, they know their stuff, they make sure you can file with confidence. They do have their own proprietary software that they use that also makes sure you get the receipts and you have a copy. So you're well equipped, for any concerns or questions, or even if you work with the same filing system, you can go back for, previous years and pull everything you need there. So just want to plug that. That's a really outstanding service. This morning we had our adaptive Valentine's Day party, and patrons come out just for Valentine's Day goodies, music, all the good things happening at the Circle City Center. Tomorrow, Public Works will be hosting the Corona Bicycle Master Plan community meeting. So if you're interested in safe rides for our city, access, all the things that kind of go along with it, great informational meeting, and as well as a community input forum. So that'll be taking place tomorrow at the library. Valentine's Day is coming up. I hope you all planned your night out. And if you would like to drop the kids off somewhere, we have our kids' night operating at the Circle City Center. So for a modest fee, you can drop off for several hours. You can sneak off maybe across the street to Metro at Main, grab some dinner, and know that your kids are having an amazing time. At our theater, OBC Theater is proud to host Seussical the Musical, so tickets are on now sale. Dr. Seuss themed spectacular, and of course, OBC Theater this always does such an outstanding job serving the stage, costume productions, and of course, our own community talent. So family friendly, grab tickets, a nice little matinee or evening out, depending on what you choose. President's Day, we will be closed. Senior Center will be doing a Valentine's Day masquerade ball on the 20th. And then, of course, we have our guided hikes, community cleanup, volunteer orientation. Moses is going to talk a little bit about some of this stuff. And then we will transition at the end of the month into our adult softball. So our winter-spring season will be beginning. And we actually have a couple spaces still left on Wednesday night. So if you want to throw together a quick little softball team, do a little fun after work, it takes place at Promenade. Just really great spirits. Our players all have a really good time. All right, so we have our co-sponsorship program now open. Co-sponsorship provides opportunities for our nonprofits, our Corona-based nonprofits, to host their own events. It's not just all the city. We actually host in terms of location, whether that's indoor or outdoor, taking place throughout the community. This is sponsorship in terms of in-kind services. So if they need a permit, if they need to use one of our facilities, if we're maybe helping with a traffic control plan, these are all things that the city generally covers. Your co-sponsorship could be used for that. So application period for events taking place for July through December of this year is now open. You just go online. There's a quick little form you have to fill out. Tell us about your group, your nonprofit, upload a little bit about your schematics, kind of what you hope to do. And then one of our team members will follow up and talk to you, and then we will be actually taking these back to our city council for final review and approval. And then we do this twice a year, so there's phase 1, phase 2, so we do 6 months at a time just to allow new and emerging events to get in, as well as all those great tried and true events there. Pictured on the right there, you can see one of our Batterbirds and Backpacks events, and that was hosted by the Leela Project. Application deadline is February 28th. All right. So a lot of folks say music is transcendent. It can signify, really impact different abilities as we age, right? So we talk about like cognition, we talk about mental health. I think it also has a real profound ability to impact and build community. So a new program that the Senior Center just introduced this January is Senior Jam Sessions. So basically you can bring your own instrument. You might know how to play. Maybe you're still learning. That's all okay. Maybe you just want to shake a tambourine or lend a voice to the chorus or just sit and enjoy. We will be doing jam sessions every second and fourth Thursday of the month from 2 to 4 at our Senior Center. No cost for this at all. And it's actually led by Mr. Don Kindred of the Corona Symphony Orchestra here in town. A man of many hats, but he comes out, helps us, just kind of organize those activities so everyone can kind of gather around and enjoy the power of sound. I'm also pleased to share that we have a new partnership with the Corona Norco Unified School District for their Life Skills Workability Program. Workability provides qualified adult students, typically with disabilities, paid job experience. This program helps the students gain the skills and real-life experience they need to enter the modern workforce. The city's volunteer program will be collaborating in adapting some of our existing volunteer opportunities for several of our Corona and Orange Grove High School life skills classes. 3 workability classes have already been placed within the city, including the Corona Public Library and the city's Adopt-A-Park. And we hope to have some more placements as we continue this partnership. And you'll see on our right there, we have the Corona High School Workability Group at Husted Park. Last, I just want to share our rec attendance numbers for Q2, which includes October, November, and December. Per the request of the commission, I did add some up and down signifier arrows just to kind of give you an idea of trend. I will share that most of these trends are, nothing major. It's just kind of gentle ups and downs. seasonally, thematically. Nothing to be of trouble concern about. If there is, I will definitely point these out to you, but it just kind of gives you an idea of kind of the ebb and flow. And as you see these updates progress through the quarters, you'll kind of see how a lot of the seasonality comes into what we do. I'll start off with adaptive programs. We did 17 activities, the same as last quarter, but we did see a slight increase of about 100 participants over last quarter. Class activities, those are all the wonderful offerings that we have in the recreation guide. Summer is our peak season for that program, so we did see the number of activities and sessions go down, but our participation actually increased, and kudos to the team over at the CCC. They've been doing a lot of like one-off, drop-in, and like happening type events just to continue to get people through the door and experience what the CCC and what the city of Corona has to offer. Facility reservations. Room reservations went down by 5, so it's pretty close to what we did last quarter. Picnic area permits, even in the fall, continue to increase, and I would like to attest that to the wonderful work our team's been doing with the on-demand software. It's just making it easier to reserve those picnic areas. And then new for this quarter, we had 81 field permits. So we have taken this on the recreation side. So this is a little bit of a new or returning function for us. So those are all the soccer fields, all the baseball diamonds, general use fields. And that's number of permits, so it doesn't count, if one of those permits was, 30 days, 60 days. A lot of our groups use these on a reoccurring basis, but this is one point of entry, one permit being issued. Kids Club After School stayed static. We're at 8 program sites. We're holding at 442 participants, doing very well. Camp, during the summer, we were holding at about 150 participants, and then during Thanksgiving and winter, we didn't quite see the same numbers. That's generally on trend, and it works out really well for us, too. A lot of the staff prefer to maybe have some time with their family and take time off. Senior Center held at 51 activities. Participants increased slightly with 994 there. Meal numbers did go down, but I am pleased to share that even over the holidays, we kept our congregate meal program open. So if there were folks that needed, a meal or just wanted to come in and have, some community members to talk to, engage with, we did have our doors open. Special events, nowhere near the summer there. We had almost 30 city-hosted events, including that 20-night Movies in the Park series. We went down to 3 city events. I think, the big ones, of course, being the holiday lighting, which was absolutely beautiful, our Halloween weekend, and also assisting with the city's State of the City event. And then we also saw an increase in co-sponsored events. So behind the scenes, we just help those organizers make sure they have a beautiful experience. I think the Beau Arts Ball with the Corona Art Association was one of those. Volunteer program held about the same number of volunteers. However, the hours slightly decreased, just begin with the seasonality. And then youth and adult sports, we had 9 teams, 81 players on youth, 40 adult teams, and 416 players. This one number is down slightly over the previous quarter, and that's just because we had a overlapping season that was being reported there, so you kind of got like twice the numbers. But overall, I think we're doing really great. It's great to see the numbers. It's great to see the activities. If you've been walking through some of our sites like the CCC or the Senior Center, just a lot of movement, a lot of engagement, a lot of great personalities you'll meet. It's just really great to stay engaged here. With that said, I will go ahead and turn the presentation over to Mr. Cortez.
Thank you, Mr. Lass, and good evening, Commission. On the Parks and Trails side, I do have some updates for you. I'm rather excited to share some stuff that we've been working on over the last couple of months. So we just had our Corona Beautiful cleanup, first one of the year. We staged on River Road, River and Coda actually, and we went down Coda and then hung a right on River, went down to Main Street, came back around, went back up towards Coda, up towards Park Ridge, and came back around. We spent about 2 hours walking. It was about a little over a mile loop, and it was really, really fun. It's really exciting. I actually came back and shared with Donna. It was a first event like this where we actually gave out clean-out kits. So we partnered with WRCOG, and they were actually, every participant went home with a clean-up kit. So they got a pair of gloves, a vest, and a trash picker. And it was just really exciting, just the collaboration. You saw this people talking and picking up trash. We picked up about 7 yards of trash, so we actually filled up our dump truck full of trash. And that was just stuff on the side of the road, just, branches and cardboard boxes and cans. I mean, we pretty much name it. It was on the side of the street. So we picked it up, and we focused on an area that's not part of any kind of landscape district. So I was able to provide a little bit of cleanup to this area. that otherwise wouldn't see some maintenance. So, and our next one is a skyline cleanup. So that'll be just in a couple weeks here, February 22nd, and we'll be hiking up Skyline and Hagador area. Guided hikes also took place last month, our first one of the year. So it was January 18th, and it was a bird walk on Skyline. So participants learned about some of the birds that you would see up there in the Hagador and Skyline area. And our next hike is also February 22nd, so it'll be a busy day for our team. And that is a hike up Hagador Trail. So same day as the cleanup, so be a lot of activity going on up there that day. So Dominguez Ranch Trail is a new trail that I'm excited to share with you. It's right off of Green River Road in Dominguez Ranch. There's a commercial development that's going to be going in there, and they carved a trail. The development hasn't started construction yet, but they did come in, and this was part of their agreement that they did for us, and they carved a trail. There are some switchback. There's a couple different ways you can get up to the Cleveland National Forest. There's a couple different alternative paths they gave you. Brett, our trails planner, and myself went up there a couple weeks ago and hiked it. We took the switchbacks. It is definitely a good workout, so if you feel like getting out and getting your heart rate up, that is definitely the place to go. It's a good little hike, but once you get back there in the Cleveland National Forest, it's actually really nice back there. So some of the things we're going to be putting up some signage there, and we'll also be working with Jason Lass's team, and we will be doing a guided hike up there later this year as well. Some tree planting that we want to highlight that's taking place. We're currently doing our tree planting citywide, but there's a couple areas we wanted to highlight. So we did some tree planting over on Ridgeline and Green River. We planted some trees on Ridgeline, and unfortunately they were vandalized, so we came back and planted a little larger sized tree and put some signage up, and knock on wood, they have been okay for about the past few weeks. So knock on wood, I don't think they'll be messing with them. But we did plant all of Ridgeline, so we planted several vacant sites from Ridgeline to, on Ridgeline from Green River to Green River. And we also planted on Green River from Palisades up to Service Club. So we planted several vacant sites. There is a few more areas that we're gonna plant a little further west, closer to Dominguez Ranch, right in front of the shopping center. There's a handful of trees there that were taken up by a traffic accident, so we're gonna get over there and be planting those as well. We did also wanna make sure that the trees are set up for success. So we ensure that all the irrigation is watering, set the schedules to ensure that they go into spring healthy and thriving. We've also been focusing on several infill planting projects. So over the past about 6 weeks, we've done several infill planting projects, some on Upper, we've done Mountain Gate, a couple of the monument areas. We did a couple sloped areas. We did some planting at Sierra Bella Park. Dos Lagos is currently being detailed and mulched, so they're almost done with that. And Foothill Extension will be starting. I know we had mentioned that to you previously, and we still have it on the books. We're going to be starting right around March and get that scheduled, and that'll take us about 6 weeks to complete. Winter field renovations. So I know we've shared this with you guys a couple times, and we just want to bring this back to you. We've got kind of a new process in place for this. So we took some before photos, and fields were closed right around the end of November, right around Thanksgiving time. We got on the fields right away, both between internal staff and contractual staff, so we could get on the fields right away and get the seed down so we could get proper germination and be able to meet that timeline to get the fields turned over. Fields were closed and work was completed to allow the proper resting germination time. And then after that, we were in contact with the leagues, wanted to keep them updated on what was going on, and scheduled field walkthroughs with the groups. So we coordinated the walks with our rec team, and we went out and actually walked every field prior to turnover. Any items that we may have missed or that they were requesting, we did create a punch list, and then did another follow-up walkthrough and allowed them to sign off and turn the fields over. So in the end, the field renovations were a major success this year. We turned them over to the groups in safe and playable conditions for spring season. Plan to just keep refining this program and making it all that much better. We're gonna actually just be doing a post-season walk as well. So that way we can avoid some of those punch list items right off the bat. And again, just continue to work with the leagues and make sure that we're working with them throughout the season. Some SeeClick Fix stats for our second quarter. So tree trims, we had about 3,700 tree trims that took place. For graffiti removal, we had 201 tickets, which equated to about 42,000, just under 43,000 square feet of graffiti removed. And parkway tickets were 362 tickets. Lastly, some very exciting news. So we brought on 2 supervisors. These positions have been vacant for several months. And we brought on a park ranger supervisor and a park supervisor. So Richard Aguilera comes from us from Riverside County Parks Department. So he is going to be helping us with our park ranger supervisor. He's been here for about a month now and has jumped into the role full of energy. Great. You'll probably see him out and about on some of the guided hikes or with the guys out in the parks. And also Thomas Braun. So he came from the private sector, also had some background with some city work as well. Again, another great, awesome guy to have on the team. Great energy, has bonded really well with the crew, and has been a huge, huge help to get us out, get us ahead of some of these maintenance issues we've been experiencing, and just having those extra boots on the ground has been awesome. So really, really happy to have both of them on the team. And with that, that concludes our presentation, and we're available for any questions you might have.
Thank you, Ms. Vargas. Are there any speaker cards from the public?
No, Chair, no speaker cards.
And are there any written comments from the public?
No, Chair, no written comments.
Thank you. Commissioner Olson, do you have any comments?
I do. Thank you, Chair Bass, and thank you, Mr. Last and Mr. Cortez, for the very informative update this month. Very packed. Obviously, we've gone a month without it, so lots of good stuff. Mr. Lass, on the senior center tax aid, is appointments necessary? Are they available? Or is it just a kind of a walk-in, drop-in thing?
It is a walk-in program, so I do suggest you kind of get in there a little bit early. The good thing is we've already started, so like those folks are, chomping at the bit to go. We've already serviced them, so most days you can walk in just fine. Excellent.
Thank you. And the kids' night out at the Circle City Center, ages of kids.
It's a school-age program, and then I believe it's $10 each, but that is all available on the website. So
Okay.
you just go in through our registration portal, Civic Rec, type in kids night out, and then that algorithm will pick it right up for you.
Awesome. Thank you for that. On the co-sponsorship opportunity, something kind of came to mind, and I don't know if it's even feasible, but my kids in theater over at Corona High, and they're trying to get a booster program going, and they got a lot of really great gifts donated, like baskets for various places, rounds of golf, like really good stuff. And of course, the ROI on that sort of thing really depends on the number of people you get to the event to participate in something like a silent auction. So, and I imagine there's a lot of little organizations like that throughout the community who are trying to raise funds and for their, whatever their cause is. And I'm wondering if there's an opportunity to kind of have a silent auction palooza sort of thing for all these little organizations to bring their stuff to one place where there's a lot of people to kind of, leverage these events. So just something to think about, because that may be an opportunity for the community to, raise some funds for all of the different interests in our community. Senior jam session's super cool. Love to see that. Life skills workability program, super cool. Love to see that. Thank you for adding the trends, and it does kind of give us an idea of the ebbs and flows throughout the year that happen naturally, and of course then it'll be really interesting to consider, year over year from previous year at the same time. That'll be very interesting as well. And I'm sure we'll only continue to trend upwards on a lot of the more popular things. So thank you for that, Mr. Lass. Mr. Cortez, a question about the cleanups, and something kind of got me thinking where you mentioned there wasn't LMD service. Is street sweeping included in LMDs?
So street sweeping occurs citywide.
Okay.
So all the LMDs and CFDs, assuming they're within city right away, do get street sweeping. And that is something that's managed by the Public Works team.
And if it's an area that's not covered by a CFD or LMD, would it get street sweeping?
It still would, so like all your regular right-of-ways, anything public right-of-ways, and it gets swept. I don't know the frequency, I want to say it's every other week.
Okay.
And then there's, I think major thoroughfares might be weekly, but don't quote me on that.
Okay.
But again, that is a program run by Public Works.
Okay, thank you, fair enough. Dominguez Ranch Trail. It was a surprise to see that, and I think the reason it's taking the route that it does, because there was already a way to go right up and over, right? But that's going to be acquired by the property developer.
Correct.
So this was to move the trail out of that development area?
Yeah, and based on the slope that's existing right there behind that track, the only way to kind of make that slope work was to have those switchbacks. So it does get you back up to the top and around the corner there, back up around San Ponte. So, and then you kind of drop back into the forest again, the existing trail.
It does get the heart going, that is for sure. Where it hits Dominguez Ranch, is that where the trailhead is going to be? Is that going to be a little bit south of the future driveway that's going to be there? Is that the plan?
Yeah, so we plan on kind of improving that area right there and putting some signage. We did have talked about putting something there, so we have an official trailhead. But for the time being, we will put a sign at least, and then we'll be doing some guided hikes up there.
Okay, and I know the trail ultimately goes into non-city owned property up above. How much of the trail is within the city?
So the switchbacks are within our portion, and then once you get back to, there's like, you'll kind of drop into that canyon there, that's still ours, and then once you go back up to where you have like a lookout, then we do switch back over to private property.
Gotcha, okay. And that's where your heart gets pumping again, too.
Yeah,
Okay, very
that's where
cool.
we stopped.
Gotcha. Okay. The Ridgeline and Green River tree planting, thank you. I know that vandalism was a real bummer to work through. Planted trees, they got wiped out. Replaced the trees, they got wiped out. So thank you for coming back with bigger trees that can't be broken with bare hands. I really appreciate that, and the community appreciates that. Thank you for that. I did notice all the trees along Green River too, down to Palisades. Those are going to be lovely when they grow up, really going to improve that view shed. On the infill planting, you mentioned trees for that area in front of the shopping center, the promenade. Are we also looking at doing infill planting there as well? Because that one median spot is just kind of desolate.
Yeah, so we do plan on starting with the trees, and then there's some infill plant that we want to do there as well, and some mulching. That backflow, well, one, we had a traffic accident, and two, that backflow in the center median there, the backflow actually sits in the center median, so we stole it. So
Perfect.
we didn't have water for a minute, but, so we've got all that infrastructure back together, so now we'll go back and replant that.
Okay, and since we're in the area, Fresno Canyon, there was the trail was closed for that slope rehab by Public Works.
Correct.
That project finished. And it looked like another project happened down there with some irrigation maybe up on the slopes above the promenade.
So
And that
that's the
also-
mitigation site. So there's a mitigation site that's gonna take place, and that's to offset the habitat for when they built the Foothill Extension Road.
Okay.
So there's several sites throughout the city, that being one of them. So as you go up the trail, that first initial part between Green River and Oak Ridge, you've got that vinyl fencing.
Yeah.
That kind of delineates the trail, and on both, either side of that, that's a mitigation site. And then even, up that slope on the, I guess if you're walking up the trail on the right-hand side, where you see all that new irrigation, that'll also be a portion of the mitigation site. So that'll offset the habitat that was disrupted by the road.
Interesting, okay.
And that is Riverside Corona Conservation District that is doing that work.
Okay.
And it's also being led by the Public Works team.
Okay, interesting. So is Fresno Canyon Trail open as of today?
The trail is open. Those mitigation sites will be obviously off,
Yeah.
not for public access, but the trail is open.
Okay. There's still some like caution tape and stuff down there, so,
Yeah, they're running some like temporary irrigation. It's coming out the fire hydrant right now. So once they get that plant material established, then the plan is to eliminate that irrigation.
perfect. The renovation, before pictures, after pictures is great. Love to, get all the stakeholders in one place and say, here's where we're at, sign off. I'm curious to get an idea of the types of things that were identified during the punch list walks.
So there's some areas, like on the baseball fields, for example, they would ask us if we could put some clay in the batter boxes, reshape the mound. Cut one of them had us cut the arc. So there's some maintenance items that they had requested. A couple of infield sprinklers, when we turned them on, the seals were leaking, so we had to go back and replace the infield sprinkler. So they're all minor things, nothing where we had to come in and do a bunch of sodding or anything. So
But we're delivering fields in tip-top condition.
yeah, and we continue to just hopefully make it even better and refine it even more.
Absolutely, and I really appreciate staff's, willingness to, improve that process. You mentioned a postseason walk. Will there also be maybe a mid-season walk?
We're definitely going to check in with the leagues throughout the season, so we're staying in touch with them, and we also want to provide you guys with updated pictures throughout the season. So as we kind of finish the season, as they wrap up their season, share those pictures with you, kind of a snapshot of now versus when they're done with their season, kind of condition of fields, and then what we plan to do for that set of renovations. So we do plan on staying in touch with them. The postseason walk was something that was recommended by them, so we can say, okay, we just finished the season, what's the plan going forward for this particular shutdown?
And maybe it's just going to take me getting out there, poking in there on the occasional Saturdays, but it'll really be interesting to see the condition of the field and how quickly it deteriorates through the season. That would be very interesting to me. C-Click Fix, amazing, as always. Welcome, Mr. Aguilera and Mr. Braun. That's very exciting. And that concludes my comments and questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner McBride, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I have a couple, thank you. Commissioner Olson, I think, hit a few of them, so thank you for knocking those down for me. Mr. Lass, as always, great things you got going on there. I did have a quick question on the senior jam sessions. Is it only to seniors? I mean, is it the general public want to listen to music? Can they just come in, listen to some guys play, or?
I think they would make provisions for anyone that wanted to hang out. Our senior center is a membership facility. Senior in Corona is 50 plus, so I think a lot of us qualify more than not. So there's a lot of great opportunities there. So it's as long as it's an adult situation, I think you're fine.
You'll want to come listen, okay. I know a lot of my neighbors love live music, so.
Oh yeah, and if they're dabbling in any type of instrument, just tell them to come down, because they when you're playing and learning with other folks too, you can kind of riff off each other and find that connection can help teach you too, which is great.
Yeah, the energy is always great. On your statistics, I'm just curious, when, like, the adaptive programs, you have 17 activities and you say 1,100 participants. Are those 1,100 sometimes double counted over the 17, or are those 1,100 different individuals?
We only count by point of sign up. So if you sign up once for like a 1 day only activity, that counts as one person. If you sign up for a 4-week activity, it still only counts as one person. So we're only counting point of transaction.
Okay. But not if I signed up for 3 different activities, I would count as three
Three
contacts.
signups, yes.
Okay, that's fine. Just curious how wide it went across the city population.
Yeah. So a lot of these numbers are actually a lot bigger if you consider like how often people attend and the frequency, but we're just kind of doing it from a point of contact.
Yeah, and I like Commissioner Olson, I'm very interested in how seasonally compares to next year against this year. That will be a real tell on the growth. So thank you. Mr. Cortez, I said it to you earlier, the work you guys are doing, big steps. I've seen a lot of improvement. I thank you. My neighbors are thanking me for it, so thank you very much, because they've been very vocal in my ear, and I said, hey, have you guys seen improvement? And they said, yes. I said, good. C-Click Fix, that's your friend. If you see something, let them know. So thank you. The Dominguez Ranch Trail caught me off guard. I didn't know that even was coming. Shame on me for not catching that on a trail plan. Question on it, now that I think I understand where the trailhead is, where will the residents park? If we have people, I know Skyline, we get a lot of out-of-area people. What's the intended parking plan if we start getting a flux of people using that trail?
So right now, that is not, there's no set parking for it. Either people will be maybe a destination, if you live in the neighborhood, you walk down the hill and go there. When I went with our trails planner, we just parked across the street in the shopping center and tried to park in a spot that maybe wasn't like right in front of one of the businesses, kind of one of the outer spots. I think that'll probably be where majority folks, if they drive there, will probably end up parking, because you can't park on Dominguez Ranch, so.
Okay,
I think that's
so we may long-term need to have some sort of agreement with the property owner there who may have businesses being a little touchy?
Yeah, at some point, that might be something that we need to visit.
Okay. Just curious about that, thank you. The trees, I'm seeing them all over. Thank you very much. I love the look. I love how you're filling in some of those blanks. That Mountain Gate Monument, I caught that one at High Grove when I was driving by a couple of days ago, and I did see the team out there at Lincoln and Upper today. I think that's a gateway to the city. A lot of people use for the Foothill bypass. Seeing the monuments be brought up, I think is going to just give Corona that feel. So thank you for doing that, the infill, the planning, and the repainting of the monuments and the maintenance.
Thank you.
The fields, I was going to ask about the punch list. I was actually going to ask about how many punch list items you have.
So each league had a couple things. I mean, again, nothing major, but every league had a couple small things, even to the point where they're like, hey, can we get a scoop of extra infill, the infill mix, dumped in their like storage area in between games. Sometimes batter boxes kind of get worn out, they want to throw a bucket in there. So they all had some small requests, nothing outrageous, and we were able to accommodate that.
Okay. Was there a list made of their punch list items or a pre-check next year for the handoff, just as a
So we actually had,
checklist?
yeah, so we actually have a field checkoff list that we walked through them. So, make sure like base pegs were in place, turf was in good condition, any kind of rotor control issues, lights. So we went through that list, and that kind of generated some of those punch list items. There were some things, again, that were not on that punch list or on that checklist that came out of it, and we just noted it, completed those items, and then followed up with the league, and then did the walkthrough again.
Okay, excellent. The maintenance, I like seeing the numbers. I'm a metrics guy, so thank you. And then, again, like Commissioner Olson said, welcome to the new team. It's nice to see enhancements, and things are improving, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner McBride. Commissioner Munoz, do you have any comments?
I do. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lass and Cortez, for a solid presentation tonight. And I concur with Commissioners Olson and McBride for what they said. They kind of took things away from my list, too. As we go through the list from right to left, it'll get smaller and smaller. But on the lunar recap, you said there was at least 300 people that were there. Was it well received, and will it happen again next year? And just
I think it was very well received, and the fact that it kind of came about organically is just kind of tapping into our existing community and their excitement for the holiday and some of the programs and services we already offered. The micro events are always a great way to kind of pilot or kindle what could turn into another big idea. So I think as long as there's momentum and demand and it's taking place during regular operating hours, it's not a really significant impact to us, and it just brings people together. So my hope, and I will provide this feedback back to the team, is that we can do that again.
great. And it's free, right?
Yeah, it's free.
Can't beat that. And I love the calendar, and it goes to show you that we're a community that's involved in the youth and adults in our area, and it's constantly going to grow. So as the kids transition into teenagers and on, then they'll eventually be my age and over the hill, so they can see that it gets a big cycle of life there. It's kind of cool to see that happen. I'm excited to see that just the overall calendar, volunteer orientations and things of that sort. The co-sponsorship. I can't wait to go attend the senior jam session. I'm a part-time musician myself, so I like to go hear and see that. It'd be kind of fun to see that. And I totally enthralled with Mr. Kindred. He's a man about town. Heart's in the right place. I love all the numbers that we have of people. I mean, it may go up or down, it fluctuates seasonally, quarterly too, but we're high on numbers here, so that's pretty good. It's not down to get 5 people at a major event. That's up to 1,101 people active. It's exciting to see that. On the parks trails, I like what I see, I like what I hear, and I wanted to express again, Mr. Cortez, that are we involved with the scouts in any way, getting them involved in the hiking on a quarterly session? Because these hikes are an opportunity for a lot of scouts from 12 to 18 to be active in the outdoor program. So, for example, you have tenderfoot, second class, and first class. They all have their rank advancement requirements. So, for example, again, they each have nature and being active in the outdoors for looking at birds and looking at and hearing from people like the people who are there as instructors and mentors, and they can share those thoughts with the animals that live in that area and environment, be they squirrels or even birds of all kinds are there too. So they can see that firsthand and learn from the people who are there what they can see there that lives in our backyard. So again, each rank, tenderfoot, second class, and first class, all have their own requirements, and they're pretty excessive. If you live in a city, but if you have a city that has a backyard like we do, we need to take advantage of that fact that we have that. Those people are there to express and teach and mentor. And Dominguez Ranch Trail sounds very exciting. Can't wait to go up there and get winded up there. But I was wondering, along the trail, there will be trail signs talking about the severity of the gradients and numerically they're like a 1 versus a 5, and 5 being like the excessive and 1 being very flat. And will we have trailhead markers and boulders carefully placed for casual seating? I haven't been up there and I haven't seen any plans, but I'm guessing that's all in place for grand entrance ways to the switchbacks and all the different, is that being planned out still, or?
So part of the wayfinding will identify trail severity or, how difficult the trail is. So we're working on developing something like that, whether color-coded or whatever. So, a more advanced trail will maybe be red or something. So we're working with that, working with our trails planner on that. The switchbacks on this particular one, it's very short. Like I said, it'll definitely get your heart rate up, but it's a short little span. So I'm not exactly sure if we'll put any amenities on that particular portion, but we will definitely, the sign, and as we develop our wayfinding, we'll identify the severity of the trail.
Right. Will eventually be any interpretive signs that express where you're at, what you're seeing, what lives there, and just black and white or color type of photographs on that board, or?
There'll be some informative stuff, kind of pack it in, pack it out, what animals you might see there. We have some drafts that we've kind of played around with talk about the animals that you'll see up there, the sky, the particular forest that you're in, and some kind of overall facts of all our trails that lead into the Cleveland National Forest.
Right. As we hear you speak about those things, and it'd be nice to have you teach us as commissioners what is being developed along the way, just as sample drawings and things of that sort, so we can learn in the process of what's being planned for our backyard. So that way, next time we see these items being discussed, we have an idea what they're talking about, and we learn from that process. So, and we learn together. And on the trees, my concern on the trees is that how we take care of the trees afterwards. I know that we're actively taking care of our trees from the digging the holes and planting those trees, and I do have a concern about that. But more importantly, the trees that are between the grand circles, east and west, along 8th Street there, I see magnolia trees that are kind of floundering, and then oak trees that are even worse than floundering. So the other trees are doing okay. So I don't know how they're getting watered or how they're getting taken care of. Is a year maintenance by the person, city, or
So the year maintenance is included with by West Coast Arborists. So they not only warranty the tree, but they water it. And we are trying to track any kind of mortality rate so that we can go back and, because once the tree's planted, it goes into the inventory. So we're going to kind of go back and spot check those trees that were planted within the last year. And West Coast is actually helping with us when they're out watering. So we're kind of monitoring that. We've also changed up some of the species to try and get some more hardy. The magnolias have been struggling with, trying to go with some oaks, some Australian willows, some stuff that has a little more, meat to it, so it'll stick a little better.
right. The caliper's pretty like this sometimes on those trees, pretty basic trees. And then last night, since we had our ad hoc meeting was postponed until later in the month, I had an opportunity to go to Santana Park, for example, and kind of walk around. It was freezing cold. And anyway, but I did notice some things that we can talk about afterwards too on field number, 2 fields really. I got there pretty early, so I got a parking space that was off of Ontario and Magnolia there. So I walked over to field 5 and then saw on the way back field 8B. And then I was wondering on both those locations, the grass looks beautiful. It's green as can be. But the trimming of that looks like it was done maybe too long ago. I mean, there's really not an exact, it's like a bad eyebrow. It's just really just kind of haphazardly looking. And I'm wondering, in both fields, I'm wondering how that happened, or as that's being rectified as we speak. And then secondly, too, probably one of the things I saw, the worst case scenario would be the drainage boxes that we have in those areas on field number 5. Yeah. Anyway, in left field there, if you look at that and you hit the ball, pop it up to get a run, just pop it over third base head there, and the person from outfield runs in, there's a drastic drop off there between left field and between that and third base. And I'm wondering, it hasn't happened yet, an accident, but it's just going to happen eventually, where a kid will be watching the ball, watching the player run from second to third, and they will fall and break their ankle in that catch basin. And the catch basin is not just too low, but it's the wrong catch basin grate. It's more vehicular. Grate within a pedestrian area. So I think it needs to be looked at before something bad happens to a kid's ankle in that area. And then same thing with the field 5-8B. There's just beyond on the north side of the baseball fence there in right field, a lot of gopher holes and roots that are very obtrusive looking. You know, just they're out there, and it's like another accident waiting to happen for pedestrians and people walking around. And when people play baseball, they throw the ball right and left. They might put their foot and their ankle into a hole and snap it. So those need to be looked at both from the root point of view and also the holes. And then also there's more drainage boxes that we inherited as a group, and they're the wrong drainage grate for that situation in the grass area. I think we need to look at those things as part of our overall look and maintenance of our ball field areas.
Okay.
So, other than that, the grass is green, looking good. I did see firsthand the coaches out there working their butts off and sweeping all the
dragging the infields.
DG, and it's a lot of work involved with that, and they get there early to do that, so they put their heart and souls into the fields. I'm glad we're working together, and we'll talk about that later on. And welcome to Mr. Aguilera and Mr. Braun, too, to a great team, a great city, and a great place to be. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Munoz. Vice Chair Boggs, do you have any comments?
Just two, really, just two. First off, thank you for the presentation, very informative again. But Mr. Lass, can you remind me on the statistics you had, can you remind me what are the adaptive programs that you talked about?
Yeah, so the adaptive, we have a drop-in craft program, we have parties, and then we have Fitness Fridays.
Okay, so just the three?
Yeah, it's kind of three main categories, and then we break that up about one per month.
Okay, perfect, thank you. And then, Mr. Cortez, just one question for you. The picture on the Ridgeline and Green River trees that's in the presentation, are those the trees that were vandalized, or are those the beefed-up trees? Those.
Yeah, so the one on the far right one is one of the new ones that was beefed up, and the other two are on Green River.
Okay,
So the box is what, we get a 36-inch box, you get a little thicker trunk versus the 15 gallons like we previously planted. Unfortunately, they were able to relatively easily snap them.
okay, thank you. That's it, thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Boggs. And I just have a couple comments as well. I love the Lunar New Year micro event. That's super exciting, and I definitely hope to see that back again. And I also love that it came about organically. What was in the red envelopes?
There were these little strawberry candies, and they were quite delicious. I don't know the name.
Okay.
But I was lucky enough to have one of those bestowed upon me. I believe Ms. Finch received one as well. And then there was the little clementine oranges that were also being distributed.
That's
Wishing
awesome.
everyone good, Happy New Year and prosperity.
Yeah, great. For the bicycle master plan community meeting, what time was that one at on the upcoming events?
Oh, hold on, I have that right here in my notes. I believe it's 6 p.m. 6 p.m. at the Corona Public Library.
Okay, thank you. And then I did have a question for the co-sponsorship opportunities. What type of, I'm familiar with Barbers and Backpacks. That's an amazing event, in partnership with Leela Project, and helps get the community involved in the social impact side. What are some things that the city looks for when they're reviewing applications? And then up to what monetary value amount are most of those sponsorships around?
Okay. So it is designed is for Corona-based nonprofits. So they either have to be in or primarily serve a majority of the Corona population. So that's a lot of our homespun groups and organizations. There are some larger groups like American Cancer Society, but they're doing like Relay for Life, and that's going to be for the Corona community. So it's more of like a regional item. Now, there is criteria that is required for the events to be considered. They need to promote the city of Corona as a desirable place to live, visit, visit or do business, promote Corona as a visitor destination, and bring tourism-associated revenue to the city, enhance the quality of life and well-being for residents within the community, advance the city's commitment to and pride in being a multicultural community, encourage the development of neighborhood identity and pride, and promote cultural and artistic awareness within the community. Now, there is not necessarily a monetary amount, it's in lieu of, so it's in kind. Our smallest denomination is actually zero. We have a lot of groups that are asking just to be promoted on the city website or asked, the city be named as one of the partners. And then when we go into some of the larger events like the Relay for Lives, the Lobster Fence, those in kind are going to be about a couple $1,000s worth of in kind services. I will also add that many of these groups are also putting up their own match in different ways. So they're renting fences or equipment or things that we ourselves are not providing. But waiving those city fees, this makes it that much easier to work with us, to host that event, and then to do whatever good they would like to do for the community while keeping overhead costs low. So a lot of those funds do go back into the nonprofits that go to support our residents.
Okay, great, thanks. So that's why I'm like, there's a broad range of organizations that can be involved here. They could be newer, maybe kind of getting an idea off the ground, to more established, have more experience.
That's correct. And if you have any questions along the way, maybe you're a nonprofit, you've always thought about that or want to understand how it works or what fees are included, we have a really amazing dedicated special events team. They really have to consult. Each event is different, so we really make sure we understand what they're asking for. And then we also kind of work as a concierge between the other departments within the city. So, is this going to impact traffic? Is it going to impact safety? Are there permits that need to be filed from, different, departments? They will walk them through, give them a checklist, a timeline to make sure that they have a stellar experience.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cortez, for the Corona Beautiful, I was wondering, how do you decide where future cleanup areas are going to be at?
So we meet with the rec team, the volunteer coordinator, and we plan out like 6 months in advance. So we try to get throughout the city to different parts of the city so we can give those folks an opportunity that live in that area to participate. And we take it from everywhere, but we do try to make sure that we're serving a different section of the city throughout the year.
Okay. And then, I was wondering, the watersheds, kind of in that area that was by Coda and Rincon, and there's like the water basin or shed behind it. I'm not sure exactly of what
Oh,
that.
the channel runs through there.
The channel, yeah.
Yes.
What happens with any trash that gets caught up in there?
So the Riverside County Flood Control maintains that basin, so they're responsible for the maintenance and debris or anything that might be in there. That's within their jurisdiction, so we maintain everything on the streets, public right-of-way, and they would maintain that storm basin.
Got it. Sometimes after the rains, it can get a little.
Yeah, like everything upstream comes down.
And I just wanted to mention with the field renovations look great. I'm really excited to see how some of the new policies and processes that we're implementing this year are going to have an impact on the fields. So I'm excited about that. And yes, welcome to Mr. Braun and Mr. Aguilera. Welcome to the team. And that is all of the comments that I have for that section.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 6.2, our city park update by Ms. Finch.
All right, good evening, Chair Bass and Commissioners. I am happy to be here tonight to provide an update on the City Park project. It's been a few months. Last time we were here was in August when we presented some value engineering options, which our commission provided recommendation on and our council gave final direction. So we're happy to share that we have implemented those value engineering options into the design process, and we have some updated site plans and concepts that we're going to be showing you. Sorry, not concepts, design schemes that we're going to be showing you in this presentation. And our ask tonight is that the Parks and Rec Commission receive and file this update on the city park design process. So just to provide a recap on the value engineering, as I mentioned, we came to the commission back in August, as well as to the council, to provide some recommendations on value engineering. This is something that we had committed to doing at the start of the project when we brought Rios on board. And value engineering just gives us an opportunity to be able to look at some options that we can do with the project to potentially save on costs while still preserving the primary functions of the project without compromising any of the main programming elements. We worked with Rios very closely to look at what these options could be, and then staff presented the options to the commission as well as to the council that we felt would be the least impactful to the project. So I just wanted to provide an update of the site layout prior to the value engineering component, and just to give a recap of the primary amenities that we have in the project. Starting on the left-hand side of the slide, you'll see our skate park and pump track, which surrounds the outdoor sports courts. And then moving towards the right, we have our playground area, which is highlighted at the top of the left-hand side of that slide in orange. Just below that is the botanical area. And then moving to the center of the site plan, we have our community canvas, which is the open space area where we're going to be doing a lot of our large-scale programming once the site is complete. And then to the right of that, we have our community center building, which is laid out surrounding the community canvas. And then on the far right or west side of the project site is our aquatic center, just bumping up against Rimpaw. Most of these amenities are remaining intact with the value engineering. We don't have significant changes, but there are some minor adjustments to just the overall scope of these, which I will get into in the following slides. So to provide a recap on the value engineering decisions that were made in the meetings with the commission as well as with the council, we received direction to reduce the size of the fitness center and the group fitness room by 10%. Which gave us a reduction in about proposed reduction in about 2,200 square feet. We received direction to remove the finished ceiling in the fitness center and leave it open to the structure, the overhead structure. We removed the spin room. We reduced the interior plaster walls by 40% and replaced it with gypsum board drywall. We reduced the exterior wall glazing by 20%, reduced the conference room area by 33%, replaced the roofing materials with PVC single ply with simulated seam, which we kept that copper brown tone to be able to replicate the terracotta roof, which was originally proposed, and then we removed the outdoor ramp. In addition to these reductions, there was one expansion that was to the gymnasium, and the direction that we received on that was to expand the gymnasium to 2 full-size basketball courts. On the exterior of the park site, the direction was to remove the community living room outdoor gathering area that had the built-in seating and convert this to softscape. We also removed the terraced seating, which is the built-in seating in the community canvas, and converted that to turf. We reduced the shrubs by 20% and replaced it with turf, and we received direction to reduce the paving area throughout the park by 20%. So project update. Over the last several months since we got the direction from council, Rios has been working very diligently to update the design plans with these value engineering options. And what we ended up with is a much more improved efficiency to our community building, as well as a more natural park-like setting. So this is the updated finalized layout for our 30% design drawings. As you can see, there are not very many significant changes with the layout. It's relatively similar with some minor adjustments, which I'll discuss and get into in a little bit more detail in the following slides. First, with the community center building, I have a side-by-side comparison of the initial layout of the building, which we presented back in August, and the new finalized layout to the building. In addition to the value engineering reductions, the most significant changes that you can see are just a much more efficient use of space. We have a more compact footprint with a reduction in the perimeter walls, and we also reduced the circulation areas by about 3,000 square feet, just a little over 3,000 square feet. So the circulation areas are primarily the hallways, the walkways, those lounge lobby areas in between the different program rooms, and then reducing that allowed us to like I said, significantly impact the footprint by, it was about a 15% reduction of the overall perimeter of the footprint for the building. We also group the spaces together by similar uses. So we have our wellness and fitness areas grouped together with the gymnasium, the group fitness room, and the fitness workout space up in the north side of the building. And then moving down towards the middle, we have our locker room space just adjacent to that leads out to the aquatic center. And then just south of that is the lobby entrance area where we have our front desk, which provides a nice secure point to kind of separate the fitness area from the rest of the general use area. And then moving down further south of that, we have our game room, conference room, and classroom space grouped with our admin offices. And then on the far south, we have our banquet space. With the value engineering changes, we were able to reduce our programmable areas by 14% and then increase the gymnasium by 45%, which I mentioned we doubled the size of the sports courts. So overall, we ended up with a minor increase to the building square footage at 58,749 square feet. But we still had a significant reduction in improvement in efficiencies with the perimeter and circulation space reductions. Moving on to the park site, again, I have a kind of side-by-side comparison of the initial layout and the finalized layout. On the park site, going from left to right, with the additional basketball court that we added to the gymnasium space, we had the opportunity to reduce one of the sports courts and expand the skate park and pump track area. And this was based on some feedback and recommendation that we had received from the city council that they'd like to see a expanded pump track and skate park. So we were able to implement that with very minimal changes to the project budget. In addition, in the concrete walking areas, we reduced that space and streamlined the walking loops. So we are still able to provide walking loops for a 1/4 mile and 3/4 mile, which combined will give us a full 1 mile walking loop. And we did some reduction in the decomposed granite as well. The splash pad was also relocated to the center of the park and expanded to include more amenities, including water buckets, water towers, some more natural stone-like features, and I have some updated renderings, which I'll show you in the subsequent slides. And then moving into the community living room, again, we removed the community living room and the terraced seating as recommended and directed by council. We changed the shape of the community canvas, which it has a more round shape now, where we have some natural slope seating and more softscape and turf has been added to the site, as well as some additional plantings. And then, of course, we did the changing to the building footprint, which allowed us to expand the parking lot on the north side of the park site. We were able to add an additional 16 parking spaces there. But we did have some minor reduction in parking spaces to the primary lot, so it ended up being pretty much a net neutral in the amount of parking that we had. So moving on to the project renderings, now that we have the 30% design complete, I'm excited to share just some updated drawings of what the park site looks like. So this is a overview of our community canvas building and the community canvas and the community center building. As you can see, with that reduction in hardscape, we have a much more natural park-like setting, less hardscape and reduction in built-in seating areas, more natural with more turf, plants, and the trees really pop now against the greenscape. And then this here is a park view on the community canvas looking into the community center building. Here we have a view from the walking loop just up against the community center building. You'll see that we have a very wide path, plenty of room for kids to play, as well as for people to walk, a lot of activities and opportunities to be able to program this space, as well as a view of some of the outdoor seating opportunities that we're going to be providing outside of both the banquet space as well as the fitness area. This next view is a view of the entry into the main parking area and a view of the front of the building. As you can see, we have the community center building straight ahead, and then the aquatic center is going to be on the right side where you see those folks walking in the fenced area right there. And then this is another view of the front entrance area. And then our last rendering is just, as I mentioned, an updated view of the splash pad. So we have the water towers that have been added, the overhead water buckets, some natural stone overhead water features, as well as stone seating area. Again, it really complements the natural park-like setting that we have throughout the rest of the area. And it's also kind of a multifunctional use. So it'll be an area that can still be utilized even when the splash pad is not operating. We envision kids still being able to play there, people being able to sit there. We have a lot of nice shaded seating areas. So it's going to be really a year-round usage space that we're really happy with the way that it's evolved to look. So moving on to next steps, I have an update on the project schedule here. As I mentioned, we completed our 30% construction drawings in January. We are currently working through the remainder of the design process, which we will be doing currently now through the end of September. We anticipate having design fully complete in October and then moving straight into the bidding process. Right now, the estimated timeline for bidding for construction is going to be October, and then hopefully awarding the contract sometime before the end of the calendar year in December. And then mobilization will occur in the beginning of 2026, and we anticipate to begin construction in spring of 2026 with, we're hoping for a 2-year timeline. So again, our ask is that the Parks and Rec Commission receive and file this update on the city park design process. I'm happy to answer any questions. We also have our design team here from Rios. If you have any additional technical questions, we're happy to assist with this.
Thank you, Ms. Finch. Ms. Vargas, are there any speaker cards from the public?
No, Chair, no speaker cards.
And Ms. Vargas, are there any written comments from the public?
No, Chair, no written comments.
Commissioner Olson, do you have any comments?
I do, thank you. Thank you for the presentation, Ms. Finch. Obviously, a lot to digest here, a lot of the changes that went into it. Probably the biggest thing that stands out to me is the loss of that additional sports court outside. I can appreciate that we're gaining more indoors, but that is absolutely the most popular attraction of the current park. You go out there any evening of the night, you probably go out there right now and they're probably full. They're very popular amenities for that. And I can appreciate increasing the size of the pump track and skate park, but my feedback is I hate the loss of the additional basketball court, and I wish we had even more of them than we currently do in the park. I know there's a lot of focus on the building part of the park, but my heart is definitely in the park part of the park. Other improvements in the park I love, the increased size of the community canvas. The circulation loop seems a little bit more straightforward for, an average person just going to take a stroll. What else? The co-located playground with a splash pad. I think, as a parent, that's a really great thing. You've got one kid over here, one kid over here. You can keep an eye on both. I think that's a really sensible change. So I guess my question is, how feasible would it be to add a sports court back in? We've gained some parking spaces. We've shifted things around. I notice we've got a whole other parking lot down at the north end there that wasn't there before. Where the sports courts are currently. Is that something that is a possible thing to do?
So we had received direction from the council to make some enhancements to the skate park and pump track area. Unfortunately, in that space, we don't have room to have those enhancements as well as the third sports court. So that's where we had to make the compromise. But by adding the additional sports court inside of the building, we still have same amount of basketball courts on the park site.
Yeah, it's just not available, like now probably, like when they're out there using it now in the nighttime. And it looks like to me that there would be some room where that loop on if you want to go to slide 39, I guess, it's the finalized layout for the new one. That one, yeah. So where you have the portion of the pump track that kind of comes around and ziggy-zaggies, and you have some more space to pump track, it seems like to me that if we push out that pathway a little bit to the north and move that jiggy-jaggy of the pump track a little bit to the right, that we could have the enhanced pump track, but I don't remember anyone giving direction to lose a sports court. I think that the consensus, both here in the council that I watched very carefully, was we don't want to lose any of those amenities in the park, part of the park.
So currently, we actually are adding a sports court. Right now, we only have the 2 half courts, so this is giving us 2 full-size courts. So there is a net increase in the amount of outdoor sports playing court areas that we have. But again, this is the only way that we were able to make those adjustments to the pump track and skate park by eliminating that 3rd court.
Yeah. So I see 6 hoops before and 4 hoops now. I mean, the hoops are what folks are using. So anyway, that's my feedback on that. Let's see, anything else? Let's see. The new community canvas, does that mean more retention of existing trees?
So it's neutral. We're not adding any more trees or losing any additional trees. It appears that there's more trees because we have more greenscape,
Yeah.
but they're able to still be able to retain the same amount of trees that we had.
Okay. The building itself, not an architect, but this does appear to be more cohesive, makes more sensible groupings of activities to me as a layperson. That the loop trail around the community canvas, it was very wide in that rendering in front of the building. It looks to be about 30-ish feet, maybe. And does that continue that width kind of around to the north there?
Hi. So it's about 28 feet in front of the building, and then it narrows to 18 feet on the other side where the water feature is.
The splash pad is?
The stub that goes down to the ficus, the promenade that cuts across, is about 26 feet.
Okay. And are we still looking to co-opt that path for other uses like, food trucks we've mentioned once upon a time, things like that?
Yes, that's correct. So the promenade area between the playground and the splash pad is designed to be set up for food trucks. So that's going to be a programmable area where we'll be able to stage food trucks along the promenade and then kind of connecting to the walking loop around the community canvas.
Okay. And I think I had one more question. The renderings look beautiful, by the way. Oh, the splash pad. A couple of things. Yes, definitely. Oh, I'd love to see us lean into the year-round use of that, because obviously, right now we wouldn't have the water going, but we still want people to enjoy the space. So whatever we can do to lean into that year-round attractiveness of that space for leisure and passive uses. And I absolutely love the guy in the suit getting totally drenched by that water feature. That's probably my favorite thing. There's a nice Easter egg on that. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Olson. Commissioner McBride, do you have any comments?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Obviously, being the newest commissioner, I wasn't here in August, so some of the value engineering was a little lost on me. One of the questions I had that came out of this, having attended the classes at the CCC now, when you look at the conference space, do we lose space, or are we losing space, or are we net zero, or where do we sit classrooms today versus what we're going to now?
We are actually gaining space, yes. So our banquet area right now, I believe, at the CCC, we can accommodate about 200, 250. Yeah, 280, and our new banquet facility is going to be a 400-seat banquet space. We also are going to be having 2 full-size classrooms, and then our conference room is going to be divisible into 2 spaces as well. That's just on the classroom, conference, and banquet side, and then on the opposite side of the building, we'll have the group fitness area. So we are definitely gaining space for programming opportunities.
Okay. And then the other question I had about, I'm a little biased about the outdoor seating area. I'm going to miss that. I'm a big proponent, and I think many of the people in the city have heard me talk about the malls and saying we need to have an outdoor Wi-Fi and an outdoor living where people can work and live outside. For me, in the post-COVID world and people working from home now, I think having sitting areas where parents can sit and work outside, or even young professionals who want to do it, I think is a big thing. So I'm a little sad about the loss of that space. So my comment would be, make sure we have enough sitting areas, but not just depending on people on their cellular, because cellular is not great in Corona in a lot of places. Making sure we provide some sort of outdoor broadband experience, maybe through the Fiber City experience that's supposed to be coming our way. But that would be my comment and suggestion is, let's see if we can find a way to get the young parents out there, or even older parents that have their kids out there that want to work while their kids are out of school. So, thank you, though.
Thank you. Commissioner Munoz, do you have any comments?
I sure do, thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Finch, for a great presentation, as always. I'm always amazed by how well you speak about landscape architecture and architecture. So with that being said, I have a few questions that will end with the renderings, but I think we're doing a great job in getting us to an area where we'll last another 100 years or so for a park that will be used by our children's children. That's kind of exciting. So we talked about that months and months and months ago, where it's a historical park that's going to be leading us into the future. When I first looked at this finalized layout, and I expressed this tonight with the Rios group and Ms. Finch, that I was kind of bummed out, because when I first saw the 3D model in front of us, that I can still see in my mind today what it was a few months ago, and then the actual walkway layout, the walkway had so much flamboyance and so much energy and so much sensuality to it. Just all the lines flaring this way and that way. It was just exciting to see that and be a part of that whole board and being sucked into that. And then even the centralized or even focal point of the canvas, it was really exciting to see that back then. So now it's evolved, and I understand the evolutionary design process. I live that every day, so I see that from the Rios group. But I felt this weekend, I said, wow, we're taking away the ideas from the Imagineers, if we're doing this. But it's all value engineering. It's all for the better enhancement of the park site that will. On day one, I was sharing, I see kids smiling, and that'll kind of negate anything I thought about how the park could have been, but how the park will be enjoyed by kids and their parents as they stroll around at nighttime. So I just strolled around, and Mr. Olson talked about the width of that promenade. Is that going to be concrete? Colored, it looks to be colored concrete.
It is, yes.
It is. And I'm wondering if it's 18 to 28 foot in width overall. It seems to be a large amount of concrete. I'm wondering if we could break it up into banding that goes 30, 40 feet on center, that kind of breaks up that monotony of a solid piece of concrete. The banding would be a different color, or it could be the same color, just that it would defocus the width of that walkway, is a thought. And other cities do the same thing with the expansive walkways, where they have a timeline or historical concepts or etchings in that kind of express a story. You've taken this walkway, right now it's going to be a walkway, but it takes it to the next level of a walkway, that it has personality, and it has a lot of pizzazz, and it tells a story as you walk that space. I just think about education. And then I'm wondering, too, that we're going to reduce the walkways that we had by 20% and replacing that with decomposed granite. Is that still true?
So there actually was a reduction in the decomposed granite altogether, so we had reductions in both.
Okay, good, yeah. I'm not a big fan of DG. We just had rains here last week or two, and we're going to have rains starting tomorrow through the week. And if you look at other DG areas and walkways, you're going to see, I shared months and months ago, that there's problems with DG. Every year you're going to have a seasonal issue with having to replace that, and it's going to be a continuity of maintenance issues in the near future. But I like the building, the revamping of that, and it's very cohesive now and all makes sense. And then as I get into the rendering, I'll skip across. Very nice renderings, but I think that you see the rendering with the park loop, you'll see why it looks expansive. I don't have the photo of that on the screen, but you'll see how expansive the walkway is in front of the building. That one there. I think that if you had some sort of thought pattern behind banding with some concept, that might take away the impact of that much concrete. And the next page, the entry drive, the main entry drive into the east side of the building there, it just seems to be a little weak, not the rendering, but how it's going to look like in real life. Because on the right-hand side of that walkway there, you see a 12-inch wide planter area, which has become a catcher of paper trail and cups and things of that sort there. It's only, you can't do much planting in a foot wide of a PA area, planter area. And I'm wondering how the grass parkway is going to last the test of time with the grass we have here in town versus something that's less maintenance and less of grass can be a continual maintenance problem. And again, the banding, use of banding, really expressive because you have a driveway like you have there now that leads you from east to west into the building there. It just seems to be nicer if you had some sort of personality again in the driveway. You want to create an enhanced driveway to tell a story as you drive in. So you don't want the book to open once you're into the actual building. And to have the book open to tell a story as you drive in there. It captures that Disneyland look where you tell a story from the 55 freeway going west to Disneyland Harbor. You see, it just tells the whole story. That's all planned in advance, and I think we're missing an opportunity if we don't even think about having that type of concept here at the east side of the building. And the next slide, the entranceway, you see what I've been expressing. There's some blank walls that need to be, utilized with an advantage of some sort of murals and things of that sort that would, again, keep saying, tell a story. And we don't have that story being told at this point in time with nice and rich paving on the ground. And again, enhance it if you can. And spend $10 versus $5 on more plant material. Is that what we're going to see in the end at the grand entryway? Possibly. We're in the value engineering, but still, you don't want to take dollars away from the grand entryway. I think you want to expand it right there at the front door versus take away from that front door. Overall, it's an exciting project. I'm not putting anybody down. Just my first thoughts when I saw it Saturday and Sunday. So anyway, I think Rios has done a great job. I want to thank them in advance again, too. They were here last month with my Boy Scout troop, Troop 34, and Part 54G with the girls. And they were there after hours sharing their thoughts about design with kids who are 12 to 16 years old. And those kids will be you tomorrow in the future, hopefully. And there'll be a future landscape architect, a future architect, the engineer that will be sitting in this audience talking to us about another park that we're building in 30 years from now. But it starts with Rios Group and Ms. Finch. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Munoz. Vice Chair Boggs, do you have any comments?
Just a question on the community canvas. Can you just kind of give the idea behind that? What's the envision for the use of that?
So it's meant as a large open space where we're going to be doing majority of our event programming. So a lot of the events that we're doing right now on 6th Street in front of the Historic Civic Center, we envision moving to that space. So our summer concert series, potentially our new music and arts festival, and then it's a space that we're going to also be making available for co-sponsorship opportunities. So we really hope that year-round we are programming that area where hopefully every weekend we have some type of activity that is out there for the community to be able to come, to be able to congregate, enjoy outdoor events, and really, be able to come together as a community.
And will it be infilled with grass? And is that the best planting material for that type of use?
It is going to be a turf space. We do have a natural slope that's going to be turf as well, and then some tree spaces there. It's the material that we use at our parks. We've done large scale events there. We do it in front of the Historic Civic Center, and it's been able to hold up as long as we're doing proper maintenance.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Finch, for the presentation. That was great to see some of the progress that's been made since the last time. I agree. I think that the value engineering definitely looks efficient and streamlined, and the changes that have been made to the building. The only question I had was about, if I remember correctly, for this layout, for this design, this was with the intention of the crown idea. Is that correct? And I'm just wondering if, with the changes to the community canvas, is that still going to come through? maybe with some of the lighting, or are we moving away from the crown?
Yeah, so the big hardscape areas obviously are removed, but we're hoping to use lighting and the tree species selection that we're going to add to that crown area, and also talking to the team about loose furniture that's heavy enough that people can't walk away with, but that will reinforce that idea of that central living area around the Crown Community Center.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, like Commissioner Munoz said, I think it's a really exciting time to see the project unfold. Are we going to get another update before October, or is that when we should expect this?
So our next plan update is going to be when design is final in October, and that's going to be right before it goes to the Planning Commission.
Okay, great. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and moving on to item number 7, commission members' reports and comments. Commissioner Olson, do you have any closing comments?
I actually don't. I think I've imparted all my pearls of wisdom so far tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner McBride, do you have any closing comments?
I think I'm in the same boat. I think I got them all out during the meeting. Thank you.
Wonderful. Commissioner Munoz, do you have any closing comments?
I do. Real quickly, Councilmember Daddario and I have had the opportunity and the privilege to sit in with the community, the ad hoc committee, over the last couple months, and it's been fantastic. So when we hear their presentation here next few months, we're going to be enlightened to see that there's been definitely workability. And from day one, it's been a chance for people to be, I said it before, but open hearts, open minds, open ears. And from day one, Mr. Lass and Cortez and Ms. Finch have been expressing how things got to be where they're at over the last handful of years. And it's a story it's worth listening to, and we'll hear that here shortly. But more importantly, we got a chance to hear the community's feedback also, because they actually live and breathe the baseball bats and then the cleats in the dirt, you know, and soccer and cheerleading and all that. And those are our kids, you know, and then out there playing baseball and soccer. And so you have representatives there from all different leagues, the Pony League and young men playing football and so forth and so on, from 5 years old to 55 years old, you know. And so it's exciting to see that happen today. And we'll be there next month, end of this month here, for one of our next to last meetings. And so at that point, they'll come back and, is that right, and express those things that were learned and gleaned from those meetings. Yeah, guys and gals. And then to the commission. So look forward to seeing that. And then at that point, it'll incrementally fee increase and things of that sort, which is going to be inevitable, but is a good, I think it's a good phase from what I've read so far, how it's going to work out. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair Boggs, do you have any closing comments?
I don't, thank you.
Thank you. The only closing comment that I had was that I wanted to congratulate our former Centennial Husky, Tanner McKee, on his Super Bowl win with the Eagles. So congrats to him. Go Huskies. And that's all we have for tonight. Thank you for joining us for the Parks and Recreation Commission meeting. We will adjourn this meeting at 7:33. The next meeting of the Parks and Recreation Commission is scheduled for Tuesday, March 11th, 2025.